Right, what we're going to do next is look at putting this Bezier tool into perspective and context to do an actual job with it. What we're going to do now is go File, New, and I'm going to go make a new file, and I'll make it maybe an A4 will be good. That gives me a new one. The old one sits behind it, that's great, and I can just maximize that by pressing the maximize button, and there we've got a blank canvas. What I'm going to do is import, this is a new thing for you, an image into this program that we can draw, because if I try to draw a specific shape, it's really difficult to draw it straight off the bat with that Bezier tool. So sometimes you get a reference image, so I'm going to import a reference image. So you go File, Import, and the shortcut's Control I, and on the desktop I've got this thing called Mato, and that's a basically it's a fish hook, basically Māori fish hook, and it sits there. Bring it in and you can see it's a nice shape. What we're going to do is redo this shape, and the reason we're going to do that is because we might want to use that shape for other things. Okay, so I'm just going to scale it down so it fits on the page, and I'm going to hold down Control as I do that and pop it in about there. Now I'll use Control and the scroll wheel to zoom in a bit so that I can see the whole thing nicely. And what I'm going to teach you here is how to put this on a layer of its own and lock it so that you can't accidentally move it. Because what happens often when you're trying to redraw stuff is you click on it by accident and move it all around the place, and that can be really frustrating. So what I'm going to do is go into my Layers panel, and you access that up through this little icon. There it is there, and you can see that it's got a it's got a layer and it's got a wee lock on it. If I turn this eye off, it turns off everything on that layer. But what I want to do is actually lock that layer. So I'll click the lock on, and you'll notice now I can't move this thing. So that's awesome, because it means that I can't accidentally move it out the way. Next, I need a new layer that I'm going to draw my actual Mato on it. So I'm just going to click here, and it's going to make a new layer above the current layer. So I'll add that. So this is the layer I'm working on. Now, as you saw in the last tutorial, we're going to plot some points. I'll do this two ways. To start with, I'll do it the way just making everything square first and then rounding it off. And next video, I'll potentially do it the other way. So first of all, I've got to get my Bezier curve tool. I select that, and I've got to choose a point to start. Probably a good point to start is a sharp point, so I'm going to click there. And as you can see, hopefully, the red line is following me around, and I'm just going to go roughly to the middle of this circular piece. So you can see how I've plotted that, and it goes light green like that. I'm going to do another one here, and you'll be thinking this is crazy, this doesn't look anything like the shape that I want, but I will get there. So I'll click away like that, and I'm going into the middle of that piece because it's quite a big round bit there. Now this comes with experience. You sort of learn where to put points. If you get one in the wrong place, press delete on the keyboard and it lets you go back to the previous one. So I'll go over to about here, over to here, and I'm just plotting these points. You'll see it very shortly. When I join the last one up by clicking on the first point, you see that it goes black, and as you can see, we've got this really random ugly shape. It's now that we use the Bezier tool and the node editor to fix this up. So I'm going on to the node editor. I'll start with this point here because I want to get a nice curve in there. So I'll click that point, and as you know, you can alter these points. So symmetrical will give you a symmetrical sort of curve, but I actually want to go smooth curves on this one. So I'm just going to go smooth, and as you can see, it gives me the handles, and I can pull out each handle individually without it affecting the other one. And then I'll pull out that handle, and as you can see, that makes up roughly that nice curve there. That needs to be a smooth curve too. So you could do these all at once, but I just want to take you through this step by step. So I'll do that one, push that handle down. Sometimes you miss these things, they're a bit awkward, and you can actually move the whole point around. So I can move that so that we get a nice curve. So that's looking quite good. Normally I'd be in a lot closer than this doing it, but so that you can see everything on the video, I'm staying a bit further out. So I'll click that one, same deal here. This video will take a little bit longer because it's actually a little bit more complex. So There we go. Same deal with that one. And that one. Drag it out like that. And you're just using these handles, and you can see you're fine-tuning things all the time. That one stays reasonably sharp, so I'll go over to this one. Same deal, I want a smooth curve on that. See, that's completely wrong, but what I can do is pull that out so that it's not too bad. As you can see, it's not 100% there, but you don't worry about that initially. I'll pull that one out, so that gets that curve okay. And I'll show you a really awesome trick with this tool that I just discovered recently, and that is with the node editor, you can just double click on that line right there. Oops, it's not letting me do it. And it gives you another point, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I've got that one, and now we're getting a nice flowing curve around there. Same deal around here, and I'm just using, and you don't worry when that goes all to custard, you just start moving the handles around again to get it right. And I'm making it look easy, and you're going to get frustrated with this. Persevere, because it's one of those things that once you get it, it's really useful and valuable tool. So there we go, I've got some of those done, and I'll pull them down. Sometimes you have too many points in there. If you've got too many, you just hit delete on the keyboard. I think I've got enough there, so I won't have to do that. I just have to sort of rearrange where they sit. But hopefully you're getting the idea here that you can actually end up making a perfect shape. And there's no way that you're going to be able to do that, by freehand drawing, unless you're pretty exceptional. So there we go. That one needs to move across a wee bit. So we're getting there. Back up to this one. Smooth. Drag out that handle. Notice with the non-symmetrical one, you can drag one handle out and the other handle doesn't go with it. So that's quite cool. So I can push this one back slightly. So you can see these things, they're kind of very useful. A little strange initially, but you definitely get there. Just persevere. So we go like that. That looks wonky as, so I can push that handle up and closer to the node. Pull that handle out. There we go. Round that off. And that's looking quite good. So we've got a pretty good shape there. The only one thing that I'm concerned about here is those points there, because they're going to be really sharp. So I will zoom in on those. So I'm zooming in, holding Control and scroll wheel. You can see that that's going to be way too sharp. So I'm going to go once again to the smooth point, and this is going to make it go all wonky. But then I can just grab those handles, push them in, so that I get a fairly sharpish sort of point, but it's not going to be strangely sharp, like a knife edge. Push that one back in, and you can see that that's coming in nice. So this point here, when I get in nice and close, not quite right, so I can just alter this handle slightly, move the point. I'll zoom out again, Control and scroll wheel, press the scroll wheel down, and I'll go up to this point here. And there we go, so you can see that's not quite right. Click that, smooth, looks wonky, but I'll just push those handles in. There we go, and that I would say is going to look pretty good. So I'm just going to zoom out again, and I'm going to actually, I'll fill this with a colour so that you can see it. So I'll fill it with black. Just to recap, to do that, we go onto the fill dialog there, and I'll go into fill, click that, and there we go. We've now got our shape really nicely made. What we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how to actually make the holes in it, because that's another whole different story. But there you go, so that's a really big project for the pen tool or the Beziers tool. But hopefully that shows you how using that can get you some really good accurate shapes.